Allow me to introduce you to Don Quixote, an animated adaptation of the Spanish novel Don Quixote, which at first may seem like a perfectly harmless movie for the whole family, but is in fact an overly confusing, utterly bizarre, and uncomfortably sexual film that any child would probably have nightmares about.
I know I did.
I'm exaggerating a little bit, but seriously, this movie is so fucking weird. And at first I kind of just assumed that this was one of those crappy, low budget, made by a pretty small team without a theatrical release kind of movies. But I literally just looked up the Wikipedia for this movie, and not only did it have a theatrical release, where it was a commercial failure, so no surprise there, but this movie also had a shitty looking PS2 game. And apparently, this movie was also shown at Cannes Film Festival. And that might be wrong. I haven't been able to find any other confirmation of that outside of the Wikipedia page, but I really hope that's true. Because, dude, the thought of a bunch of film scholars from all over the world getting all dressed up and then sitting down in front of a big screen to watch an animated horse cream his pants is the funniest thing of all time. But I'm getting way ahead of myself here. I first discovered this movie, mi primer año de clase de español. Yeah, I guess you could say I'm pretty good at Spanish. It's whatever. No, but I discovered this movie in my first year of high school Spanish when our just a sweet and innocent teacher found this movie online, understandably thought that it would be kid-friendly, and put it on for the class. Let's just say she learned an important lesson about screening content beforehand that day. So in this video, I'm going to dig into every single scene to show you just how weird this movie is, because no exaggeration, there's something weird like every 10 seconds. But before we even start watching the movie, there's something on this movie's poster that I feel like I need to address. On the side of this movie's poster, there's a little box that says, "De los productores que vieron Shrek," which, if my Spanish is up to snuff, and it is, this translates to, "From the producers who watched Shrek," which first of all is implying that the producers of this movie are the only producers in the world who have watched Shrek. But more importantly, I have never seen that in any other movie advertising before. Because, you know, usually it's from the producers of Shrek, or from the people who brought you Shrek. So then you, as the viewer, can see that and be like, oh, the people who made this thing I like also made this other thing, so I might like this thing. But this is just like, oh, you know the producers of this shitty movie? Yeah, they watched Shrek. I just thought I'd let you know. Like, what does that have to do with the contents of this movie? What am I, as the viewer, supposed to expect when I read that? The only logical link I can think of between Shrek and this movie is that they both have a donkey. So I'm just picturing someone looking at this movie poster like, whoa, a donkey? How did they come up with that? Oh. Because they watched Shrek. I don't know, man, but if I continue like this, the video is going to be like an hour long. So without further ado, I give you Don Quixote.
In a village in the region of La Mancha, there lived not so long ago one of those gentlemen who keep a lance in the rack, an old shield, a lean horse, and a swift hound.
Okay, this might seem like a minor nitpick, but Quixote doesn't have a swift hound. Why put that? Why say that? Like you just lied.
Who spent his days reading books of knight-errantry, which he loved and enjoyed so much that he completely lost it.
Wow, what a blunt way to put that, narrator lady. Quixote completely lost it. He's crazy. He's a nut job. Help, he's got me in his basement. So this opening scene is just a huge exposition dump. Basically, they explain that Don Quixote is this epic knight who goes on great adventures with his friend, Sancho Panza, and his horse, Rocinante. Rocinante. But the one thing missing from Quixote's life is a lady. And everyone knows that a knight without love
is a knight without a soul.
As soon as a knight breaks up with his girlfriend, I guess he becomes a Death Eater.
He suddenly recalled a farm girl from a nearby village, and so was inspired to create the damsel of his dreams. And although that lady never existed, she would always be for him his Dulcinea.
Okay, I've watched this part so many times, and it still confuses me. Like, I get that he saw this smoking hot farm babe or something, and based only on his memory of this girl, he created his own pretend girl called Dulcinea. Kinda creepy, but sure. But the reason this doesn't make any sense is because he spends the rest of the movie trying to find Dulcinea. She doesn't exist. Well, actually, she does exist because they find her at the end of the movie. But why? The narrator just said that Dulcinea was made up by Quixote. So who's the woman they find at the end of the movie? Is that the hot farm girl from earlier? Is this just some random other woman named Dulcinea? Or is it just magic? We'll never know. But anyway, the narrator lady finishes her narration about Don Quixote when suddenly...
Not again. I'm fed up with this.
You mean you're Rusio, Sancho's donkey?
This is the titular donkey, Rusio, not Xote, unfortunately. Rusio is the donkey of Sancho, remember that's Quixote's friend. And the one thing you should know about Rusio is that he wants to prove to everyone that he's a great horse.
One day, I'll be a great horse. And I'll do all kinds of important stuff, you'll see.
Like, I get that that's supposed to be a metaphor for, like, believing in yourself and like, defying social expectations and blah, blah, blah. But that just doesn't apply to this situation. Oh, and they do reference Shrek.
The only talking donkey I know is a friend of mine who hangs out with some green ogre.
What is this movie's obsession with Shrek? I don't get it. Also, that was an interesting joke, because he wasn't just making a reference to Shrek. He's saying that Donkey from Shrek is a character who also exists in the universe of this movie. And wouldn't it be so funny if they were actually setting up some sort of animated donkey cinematic universe?
I'm not sure how I got here. Has to do with
Don Quixote,
I think.
Anyway, Rusio says that he's come to tell the real story of Don Quixote because he was there when it all happened. So the real story starts one beautiful day when Rusio's just walking down the road, minding his own business, when he just starts getting bullied for no good reason. Well, not that there's ever, like, a good reason to bully someone, but these horses, like, they don't know Rusio. They just start attacking him just because he's not a horse.
So where do you think you're going, donkey?
This road is for horses only.
Since when are there roads exclusive to a species? How is anyone else supposed to get across this river? Do they just have to swim? But after Rusio gets absolutely dogged on, he sees a very important document taped to Sancho's mailbox. But instead of taking it to Sancho, the person who the document was addressed to, he shows it to Rocinante for some reason.
We have to stop Quixote from seeing this.
But this is our chance to get some dignity back in our lives. Make our dreams come true.
So Rusio's making a pretty big deal of whatever's on this piece of paper, right? And you're probably wondering what it is. Well, so am I, dude. They never show us what's on that piece of paper. And then Rocinante just chews it up and nobody mentions it for the rest of the movie. So I just have to ask myself, what the fucking point of that was? Like maybe it's an interpretable thing, you know, like the briefcase in Pulp Fiction. Damn, this movie's got layers. Like an onion. So after that whole debacle between Rusio and Rocinante, Sancho and Quixote meet up at this guy's place.
My dear Sancho, come in.
Whose name I don't think is ever mentioned in the movie, but he reminded me of Syndrome from The Incredibles, so that's what we're gonna call him. There's like a lot of confusing exposition and weird dialogue in this scene, but the important things you need to know are 1. Quixote and Sancho haven't really been getting along lately. 2. Syndrome gives Quixote this old suit of armor. 3. Some guy in Barcelona challenged Quixote to a duel, and if Quixote wins that duel, he will get to meet Dulcinea in person. And 4, Sancho knows what Dulcinea looks like, but Quixote doesn't.
Well, yeah, but we didn't find Dulcinea. You saw her, but I didn't.
But how? Dude, you invented her. How do you not know what she looks like? So this means Quixote needs Sancho to come with him to Barcelona just to make sure it's actually Dulcinea. But because Quixote hasn't been a very good friend to Sancho lately, he doesn't want to go, and rightfully so, right? Quixote's been living rent-free in Sancho's house ever since the last adventure they went on, which ended in total disaster. So it's gonna be pretty hard to change Sancho's mind about this one.
Look, Quixote, I don't... Okay.
Or not. Oh, and before they head off on the adventure, they reveal that Syndrome is a bad guy, which was already pretty obvious from the last scene, but whatever. So finally, the epic journey to Barcelona can begin, with Rocinante whining like a little bitch every step of the way.
No, I said no.
And one montage later, they arrive in the city of Toboso. Here, Quixote finds a long list of people dressed up as him so they can meet Dulcinea, because apparently Dulcinea pulled up to this random town to do like a meet and greet, which is like super suspicious, right? Like if there was some random guy with a windowless semi-trailer who pulled up in front of a mall and said, hey, if Taylor Swift is in this trailer and you can meet her for just $100, would you believe that guy for even a second? No, of course not. But Quixote is just an idiot, I guess. One might even say that he completely lost it. So Quixote tries to cut the line because he's the real Quixote, but all the little Quixote imposters tell him to go to the back.
I am Don Quixote de la Mancha. My beloved is...
So I guess Quixote's famous enough to have people cosplaying as him, but not famous enough for people to know what his face looks like. So eventually the real Slim Shady gets to the front of the line, and this is where we meet the Weasel. And this Weasel is gonna show up later in the movie, so just put him in the back of your mind. So anyway, Quixote and Sancho go inside the wagon, and surprise, surprise, it's not actually Dulcinea. Quixote and Sancho have a fight with the guards that's entirely off screen, and we also discover that the armor Syndrome gave Quixote is like possessed or something, and it messes him up.
What's wrong with that piece of junk?
And I don't know why he continues to wear this armor, because up until the climax, it just gets in his way. Then this happens.
They've kidnapped Dulcinea!
Quixote thinks that Dulcinea has been kidnapped even though the wagon is how she got here.
But we don't even know it was her.
It was! Trust me!
Dude, how? How do you know? She never said a word, she never showed her face, and you don't even know what she looks like. Dude, I hate Quixote so much. He's so stupid. So the bad guys carrying Dulcinea get away, and Sancho and Quixote have to camp out for the night. Rocinante is still being a little bitch.
I do so hate the countryside.
Brucio's still going on about how he wants to be a horse.
One day, I'll be a horse, and Dulcinea will kiss me.
What? Quixote is still going on about how Dulcinea is his dream girl and they're meant to be together and blah blah blah. And an interesting detail about this scene that I want to point out is the choice of background music.
Good night, Sancho.
Good night, Quixote.
Sancho.
What does True Colors have to do with this scene? And your guess is as good as mine. Like, it couldn't have been cheap to license that, right? Or maybe they didn't license it. Maybe they just figured no one would care because nobody would watch their shitty movie. Okay, so the two friends say goodnight to each other. And the scene very well could have ended there, but that would make too much sense. So instead, we are treated to the worst thing I've ever seen in an animated movie. Why? What did that add to the scene? God, I need to have a long discussion with whoever animated a good 10 seconds of a horse getting way too much pleasure from taking a piss. Who wrote this movie? Angel y Pariente. Angel, I want to have a serious heart-to-heart discussion here. I really think you should consider enrolling in therapy because this is not normal. Okay, starting now, I'm going to be using this counter to keep track of how many times this movie made me say, what the f***? And there's going to be a lot of them, so fucking strap in. But we're just going to pretend like that wasn't the weirdest thing ever and proceed. Quixote has a dream that has nothing to do with anything. Then we awkwardly cross-dissolve into the next morning.
In the field and on the lawn, waking at the crack of...
Top tier editing. The rooster is following them now. Who is this rooster, you ask? I don't remember, and he's not important to this story, so we're just gonna ignore him. At some point, Quixote and Sancho come across a damsel in distress being cornered by a lion. And I'm no biology expert, but I'm pretty sure lions don't live in Spain. Or at least they don't just roam the deserts like this one is. Like, I couldn't get a straight answer from Google, but all I know for sure is that lions are native to Africa, and Spain is not in Africa, ergo, I'm right, and this movie's stupid. So Quixote tries to fend off the lion, but his possessed armor makes him fall down again. But then Rusio himself charge tackles the lion and the lady is saved. And in return for saving her life, the lady says that she'll take Quixote back to her castle so that she can thank him properly. No, okay, not really, but I actually wouldn't put it past this movie to do that. No, the lady says that she'll take him back to her castle so that her husband can help him find Dulcinea. Uh-oh.
But isn't that the lion?
Never fear. Bartolo is only aggressive outside the castle walls.
Something makes me think that this king is up to no good. So this king, who somehow has a voice more obnoxious than Rocinante's.
I guarantee that wagon will never leave this land. Because I imagine they travel in a wagon, don't they?
Offers to help them find Dulcinea and also give them gifts in exchange for saving his wife. Those words in air quotes, of course, because these two are clearly bad guys. But guess if Quixote thinks that this is suspicious at all. Nope. Nah, it's probably a different lion. We see plenty of lions out here. In Spain, where lions definitely live. So then, the king and queen ask Sancho what his wish would be for. And keeping in mind the fact that this is a kid's movie, what do you think he wishes for?
From all I possess, choose what you wish.
It is said...
Whoa. Okay, like the Rocinante peeing scene, that was like suggestive, but it was potty humor, and that's generally acceptable for kids to watch. This is just straight up a guy ogling the queen's boobs. Oh my god, add another one to the what the f tally, Jesus. Luckily he doesn't wish for boobs though, he wishes to be the governor of an island.
Governor of an island?
Yeah, right.
Bro. Well, the grass doesn't need to be that short. Okay, I literally just waited like 20 minutes for that fucking lawnmower to pass. Let's continue. On to the next unrelated scene.
Your eyes are like 2 eyes.
Your eyes are like 2 eyes. Was that in the script?
You're such a seducer.
What the?
Oh my god. Okay, this is just getting uncomfortable. Imagine Rusio takes one look at those giant horse balls and goes yoing yoing yoing. Okay. So what, is that horse like gay?
Gay horse?
Or something? Or trans, maybe? When did this movie come out? 2007. Well, I guess I have to give this movie credit for being so ahead of its time, repping the LGBTQ community. That scene had absolutely nothing to do with anything, though. You might be sensing a pattern here. So let's move on. In the next scene, Sancho and the queen are picking roses in the garden, and it's revealed that Sancho never saw Dulcinea either.
And Cervantes assures us you never even saw Dulcinea.
Why did Sancho lie to Quixote about this? Because movie. There's also something about Quixote being in danger and Sancho being forced to lie to Quixote and then Sancho having a mental breakdown because he's so depressed about being in this movie. But that part just confused me, and plus, you don't care about the intricacies of this movie, right? You just want to hear about the funny parts. Skipping this awkward dinner scene, the same wagon from earlier that had the fake Dulcinea pulls up in front of the castle, and when she steps out, it starts at her feet and then pans up to her boobs. Nice.
Is she or is she not Dulcinea?
Quixote, the truth is...
This is not the behavior of the governor!
Okay.
This is not the behavior of a governor, you little piece of shit! Is this, by the glory of the sacred laws of chivalry, the place where...
Oh my god, can we chill out? Jesus Christ, dude. So the wagon pulls up in front of the castle, and the woman who... This woman with her fucking Princess Leia hair buns is the most annoying bitch. Like, she's pretending to be Dulcinea, but she's not even trying to act like romantic or anything. She talks like a spoiled rich teenage girl.
Aren't I worth a house in the country, a private pension, paid holidays in Palm Beach, a weekly facial?
And also, why does it look like it's raining right above Dulcinea's head? What is happening, dude? Add another one to the tally. But Quixote, being an idiot, believes that this is actually Dulcinea, and so he's understandably underwhelmed. But the very next morning, when the king is talking to Quixote about this fake Dulcinea,
Dulcinea will speak with you, or else.
Without her, I'm nothing.
oh, what was that? But anyway, the king convinces Quixote to marry this fake Dulcinea. And Quixote agrees to marry this Dulcinea and give her whatever she wants.
I have been selfish, Dulcinea. Let us do as you say. Immediately.
Remind me why I'm supposed to like this guy again. He's so stupid. Like, he's just a punching bag. He's the butt of every single joke. He's like the worst character in this movie. Like, he literally goes through no arc in this movie. He's just a buffoon. He's just a big idiot. I hate him. I literally hate Quixote so much. Okay, in the next scene, Rocinante stumbles upon a secret sewer meeting. The king and queen, the guy with the glasses, his creepy little weasel, told you he'd be back, and Miss Leia Buns are all there, along with this tall guy in a black hood and a hockey mask. And we discover that Mr. Hockey Mask is paying the king and queen to help him get revenge on Quixote. And Quixote marrying the fake Dulcinea is all part of that.
What about me? That Quixote don't look like he's so loaded after all.
But
What about me? That Quixote don't look like he's so loaded after all.
But then the creepy little weasel catches Rocinante spying on them and chases him into a barn, where the gay horse from earlier knocks him out.
You are like so pathetic.
Now, before I move on, I want you to guess what they cut to in the next scene. Go on, guess. Okay, time's up. Did you guess a disco party? There's like 4 people dancing awkwardly to this terrible music. And what are they even celebrating? Quixote isn't getting married until tomorrow. Meanwhile, Sancho is out in the countryside doing something, and he decides that he has to go back to the castle and tell Quixote the truth about Dulcinea. And now we go back to Rocinante in the barn, where somehow the other horse tied him up to the ceiling by his hooves with a rope, you know, despite his innate lack of fingers. And in order to get rid of Rocinante, the creepy little weasel decides to light the entire ass barn on fire.
Roasted over a slow flame, I think.
Like, damn, dude. You could've just knocked him out while he was unconscious or something, but that's not dramatic enough. But luckily, the king sees the fire from the window, and everybody rushes outside to see what's going on. I like how the lion bursts through the door for dramatic effect, even though the door on the other side is already open. But it turns out the lion, Bartolo, is actually a double agent. He bursts through the barn door to save Rocinante. And he also speaks for the first time in the movie.
We've got to get out of here.
Not the voice I expected.
We've got to get out of here.
We got to get out of here. So the lion saves Rocinante. Rocinante saves that rooster who, I mean, I still don't know why he's here. Quixote gets knocked out for no reason, and then he just wakes back up, and the crisis has been averted. Wow, what a crazy scene, you all said just now. But at least it's over, and everybody's okay. That being said, I don't know how to segue into what happens next because it comes out of nowhere.
Who cares? Why not get married right now?
Huh? Are you guys forgetting about the burning barn right behind you? So I guess they're having their wedding now. But before they can say their vows, Sancho comes speeding along to put a stop to it.
No!
Sancho? I lied to you. I never saw Dulcinea all that time ago. And this one's just another invention.
Try inventing these, buster! This is a real woman!
Yep, classic kids movie stuff.
Come along, my dear. Better luck next time.
Yes, my love.
Better luck next time. Do they do this kind of thing a lot? But anyway, now that Quixote knows Sancho isn't real. Wait, no, I meant to say Dulcinea. now that Quixote knows that he's had schizophrenia all his life. Now that Quixote knows that Dulcinea isn't real, he starts to head back home. And as they're walking away from the castle, there's this giant cardboard cutout of a bigger castle that falls down to reveal a smaller castle. and they don't react to it at all. I just want to know why. I just want to know why. So now Quixote is super depressed because his life has no meaning anymore and he has no soul. But then Sancho convinces Quixote to go to Barcelona anyway. Yay, they're going to Barcelona after all. So when they get to Barcelona, they realize that all of the Quixote imposters from earlier also came to Barcelona to sign up for this duel. So instead of a one-on-one duel, it's going to be an entire tournament. Because it's a jousting tournament, Quixote needs a horse to ride, but Rocinante is all but useless. So Rusio himself steps up and takes his place as Quixote's steed.
By the sacred laws of chivalry, I name thee horse of the highest rank.
So the tournament starts, and Rusio finally gets to prove to everyone that he's a real horse. All of the fake Quixotes basically just get their butts kicked. This guy lands on his crotch. Funny, funny. The hockey mask guy from the sewer meeting is also there, and his voice filter makes it impossible to understand what he's saying.
Do we have our ringer then?
666. Unbeatable.
What?
Do we have our ringer then?
One more time?
Do we have our ringer then?
All I heard was 666, and this movie has no subtitles, so I guess we'll never know. Now, it's almost Quixote's turn in the competition, and even though there's other armor that he could have asked for to use, he still plans on wearing the possessed chestplate because of like the sacred laws of chivalry or some shit. And then the creepy weasel, the same one that just tried to burn Rocinante alive. I guess he didn't get the memo that Rocinante wasn't going to be Quixote's horse for the competition. So in order to prevent him from competing, he jumps up on top of Rocinante and threatens to eat his legs.
Can we talk about this?
Here's the deal. I just eat your leg.
Okay, here's the pocket, right? And here is that weasel. There is not a more unhinged and violent way you could have handled that. Like, please, can the madness just end? Don't worry though, Rocinante doesn't get his legs eaten by a weasel. The lion shows up to save his ass again. So eventually Quixote beats all of his competitors in the tournament, and it's time for the final showdown. But before the duel can even start, this happens. What was he trying to do? He's just standing there and kind of pulling on the donkeys. What is he doing?
What are you doing here? And dressed like that?
Damn you, Quixote!
Damn you, Quixote! But anyway, it's revealed that Mr. Hockey Mask was actually Syndrome the whole time. And like, that's not that much of a twist, right? Because they're just revealing that one bad guy was another bad guy. But as if this movie's logic didn't already have enough holes to trigger my trypophobia, now I'm wondering why Syndrome was wearing that disguise in the sewer meeting. Like, he was surrounded by other bad guys, so what were they gonna do? Like, tell Quixote that he was Syndrome? No, because they're all working on the same evil plan together. Also, why did he think he needed stilts for this disguise? Nothing in this movie makes sense. But it should come as no surprise that the movie is completely uninterested in answering any of these questions, so let's just continue. We're almost at the end, I promise. Finally, the final showdown begins. Quixote's possessed armor acts up immediately and almost makes him lose, but he hangs on and they go again. The second time, they both fall off of their horses, but instead of getting back on the horses, they both start sword fighting. Which, like, I guess I don't know the rules of jousting, but could you imagine if ties were resolved like that in any other sport? Like, if two teams are tied when the clock runs out in a basketball game, they just start bowling. Okay, so the two knights fence for a while, when Syndrome runs out onto the field and pushes Quixote into the blade. But right as Quixote's about to get impaled, the possessed armor finally does something useful. What is this armor's motivation, dude? I never thought I'd be questioning the moral compass of a chest plate, cause up until now it's just been fucking with him. Oh, I didn't like how that was animated in 2D. She looks really out of place. But anyway, right after the spirit inside of the armor is taken care of, Quixote gets pinned to the ground. But then the other knight decides that Quixote is so noble and chivalrous and whatever, and so Quixote wins anyway.
Which is why you are the winner.
For I am Dulcinea.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't see that coming, but I guess Dulcinea's real. I don't know how, but she's real.
By the glory of the sacred laws of chivalry.
Cut the crap.
The moment.
Okay, I've had just about enough of that. Let's wrap this thing up. Everybody makes a big deal about Ruscio being a horse again.
But you're a horse! A real horse!
Sancho beats up Syndrome, and the two lovebirds live happily ever after in a tent by the sea. But not before they can shove in one last questionable joke for children.
Why does your friend want a lion?
You haven't met his wife.
The end. I don't know about you, but I'm exhausted. But before I end this video, I just want to take a step back for a second and talk about this movie as if it were a real movie. Cause like, it's not terrible. I'll probably give it like a 4, 5, maybe even a 6 if I was feeling especially generous. The story, animation, and voice acting are like pretty decent. And it could have been this wholesome family adventure with talking horses and donkeys about fulfilling your ultimate potential, but instead it just took a sharp right into Crazy Town. Like, this movie seriously baffles the fuck out of me. Please let me know in the comments if you've ever heard of this movie or what you think of it, because I need to share this hilarious experience with as many people as I can. And I think that's about all I got. Thank you so much for watching another unironic video. If you enjoyed it, please remember to smash those like and subscribe buttons just like the queen slapped the shit out of Sancho. It really helps me out a lot. And if you don't, of course, I will have to eat your legs. See ya. I'm Quixote, yes, I'm the real Xote. All these other Quixotes are just imitating. Now won't the real Quixote please stand up? Please stand up. Please stand up.